There was once a Velveteen Rabbit, and in the beginning he was really splendid. He was fat and bunchy, as a rabbit should be. His coat was spotted brown and white. He had real thread whiskers, and his ears were lined with pink sateen. On Christmas morning, he sat wedged in the top of the boy's stocking with a sprig of holly between his paws. The effect was charming. He was a real rabbit at last, and he hopped into the forest with the others. And the fairy said to him, "Now you shall live in the woods with the other rabbits and be happy, and when the boy looks at you, he will know you are real." The next spring the boy went to play in the wood. He saw a rabbit that looked strangely familiar. He had brown and white fur, soft and shining, and bright eyes full of life. The boy thought, "Why, he looks just like my old bunny that was lost when I was ill." But he never knew that it was really the same little rabbit, come back to look at the child who had first helped him to be real. She touched the rabbit with her wand, and suddenly he felt different. His little body was no longer stuffed with sawdust. He had hind legs that worked, and he could run and jump like the other rabbits. "Little rabbit," she said, "I am the nursery magic fairy. I take care of toys that are loved. When they are old and worn out, I come and make them real." A tear trickled down and fell on the ground. Suddenly a strange flower grew up, and out of it came a fairy. That night the rabbit lay among the rubbish, feeling very lonely. He thought of the boy, of the long nights and the whispers, and he felt tears running down his little shabby face. The Velveteen Rabbit was put in a sack along with old picture books and rubbish, and carried out to the end of the garden behind the fowl house. The sack was left there until the next day, when it would be burned. "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up?" he asked, "or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. It takes a long time. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. At last the boy got better, but the doctor said all the toys that had been with him in bed must be burned, for they might carry infection. Weeks passed, and still the rabbit stayed. Love bound him to the boy's side even when the boy was restless and feverish. One day the boy became very ill. The rabbit stayed with him all the time, close under the bedclothes. The doctor came and went, and Nana moved to and fro, and the boy's head grew burning hot. The poor little rabbit was very much ashamed. He thought, "What did it mean? Why did they say I wasn't real?" He knew the boy loved him. Wasn't that enough? The wild rabbits stared at him. They twitched their noses and their feet darted sideways. They said, "He hasn't got hind legs. He doesn't smell right. He isn't real." And they hopped away. "Why don't you get up and play with us?" one of them asked. "I don't feel like it," said the rabbit. He didn't know that real rabbits run and leap. One evening, the rabbit saw two strange beings sitting quite still under the bushes. They were rabbits like himself, but quite different. They crept closer and stared at him. They had splendid games together, and when the boy went to tea, the rabbit went too. When it rained, he had a special place by the fire, and when the boy went to bed at night, he always hugged him close. Spring came, and they spent long days in the garden, and the boy carried the rabbit everywhere he went. He would sit under the raspberry bushes, and the rabbit would sit beside him. And when the boy ran, the rabbit would be tucked under his arm, and when he lay in the grass, the rabbit was nestled close. And so the little rabbit was happy. For many nights he had no wish at all except to stay in the boy's bed. He didn't know that he was becoming real. It was happening little by little. And so the little rabbit was happy. For many nights he had no wish at all except to stay in the boy's bed. He didn't know that he was becoming real. It was happening little by little. But very soon he grew to like it. For the boy used to talk to him and made nice tunnels for him under the bedclothes that he said were like burrows where real rabbits live. And he made him a warm place at the foot of the bed where he could sleep. One evening, when the boy was going to bed, he couldn't find the toy dog that always slept with him. Nana was in a hurry, so she simply looked about, and seeing that the toy cupboard door stood open, she reached in and pulled out the first toy she found. It happened to be the Velveteen Rabbit. The rabbit sighed. He thought it would be a long time before this magic called real happened to him. He longed to become real, to know what it felt like. Yet the idea of growing shabby and losing his whiskers was rather sad. He wished he could become real without all those uncomfortable things happening to him. "Rabbit." The skin horse smiled. The boy's uncle made me real. That was a great many years ago, but once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. But when you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? The skin horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches and showed the seams underneath, and most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to string bead necklaces. He was wise, for he had seen many toys come and go. Even Timothy, the jointed wooden lion, put on airs and pretended that he was connected with government. Between them all, the poor little rabbit was made to feel very insignificant. The only person who was kind to him at all was the skin horse. The rabbit could not claim to be real, for he did not know that real rabbits existed. He thought all rabbits were stuffed with sawdust like himself, and he understood that sawdust was quite out of date and should never be mentioned in modern circles. The mechanical toys considered themselves very superior and looked down upon everyone else. They were full of modern ideas and pretended they were real. For a long time he lived in the toy cupboard or on the nursery floor, and no one thought very much about him. He was naturally shy, and being only made of velveteen, some of the more expensive toys quite snubbed him. For at least 2 hours the boy loved him, and then aunts and uncles came to dinner and there were great parcels, and in the excitement of looking at all the new presents, the Velveteen Rabbit was forgotten.